volunteering in European Meditation Center during the university break. After his study, he began to work as a full-time volunteer for the Dhammakaya Foundation in Thailand. Having studied Thai language for 2 years, he decided to ordain in the monkhood. In 2012, he moved to the Dhammakaya Meditation Center in Belgium. And in 2017, he moved to Wat Dhammakaya, Netherlands, where he now lives and teaches most of the times. That's right, Monk Sander. Okay. But if you know more, you can ask him directly in the class. Okay. I think it's time now. May I invite everyone to pay respect to monks Sander by bowing 3 times. Bow, bow, bow.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm usually teaching the centers in America in English language, so I never know what to say good morning or good afternoon because the time is very different. But fortunately, the time between Britain and Holland is not that different. So, and actually, our lives are pretty similar these days because everyone is at home, or nearly everyone. So during this time, there is a lot of changes in everyone's lives. If we just think back about 3 months ago or 4 months ago in January, we wouldn't have thought that we would live a life like this in only a few months. It's been changing very quickly. And because of that, we are still adapting everyone. We need to be patient with ourselves. And today I would like to talk a little bit about the way we live together and at home, because as we monks live together with several monks in the temple, and of course everyone lives together with several people in their family. So how do we live together according to the wisdom of the ancients from the Buddha's time? So we can talk about that more later. But let's first meditate together. I suspect that no one here has been that everyone here has been meditating before, right?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Good, good. Well, my guiding of meditation is maybe a bit peculiar sometimes, but I teach in the same tradition. So if there's anything during the guided meditation which you are not able to follow, then don't worry about that. It's just we should feel happy and at ease during the meditation, and you do not have to be worried if you cannot follow some steps or something like that. Okay, let's start with meditation first, and we can talk more later. I'm going to close a few programs or other hindrances on my end. Just a moment. Yes, that's it. Okay, well, I recommend everyone to switch off whatever needs to be switched off and to switch on whatever needs to be switched on, so we can spend our full attention to meditate together. And I will be taking the liberty. I would like to ask everyone to switch off their sound, but everyone has already, so that's good. And then we can start together meditation. You might want to, if you're sitting on the floor, you might want to use something for your hands to rest on. I prefer to use some pillow of some kind. And you can also use a good pillow to sit on. That will be very good for your meditation if you are able to sit on the floor. But if you are not, then that's okay. We can sit on the chair. It's important that we sit straight, but it doesn't mean that we need to sit straight on the chair with the back straight and not leaning at all. That would be great if you can do that. But if you cannot, that's okay. We can lean, but we should lean with the back straight. So try not um, to bend your back, because it will easily cause you to lose mindfulness. And it may also cause you some ache in the back. So if we are meditating, let's sit with the back straight, and then let's start together. So first of all, let us first start by breathing in deeply. For a couple of times. And allow your entire body to relax. We start by relaxing our eyes. We relax our eyes completely, relaxing the muscles around our eyes, between our eyes, and in our eyes, our eyelids, and we feel a stream of relaxation going through our entire body, from the crown of our head to the toes, from the top of our head to the tips of our toes. Relax every part of your body. Feel your face relaxing, your neck and shoulders, and feel the flow of relaxation going through your arms, your chest and abdomen, and then your legs. Allow your entire body to become soft, to relax and release all tension. We may find that some parts of our body take some time to relax. Step by step, bit by bit, little by little, we feel our body relaxing. As our body is no longer active, it will gradually relax by itself until we feel we can let go of our body. We do not need to rush into relaxing. We do not need to rush into meditation, because relaxation doesn't work like that. We can't just switch on a relaxation button. We need to give ourselves some time. Consider relaxation more like a request rather than a command. We gradually feel much better when we allow the burden of all the tension to gradually fall from our shoulders. Consider this entire meditation a gift to yourself, allowing ourselves to really relax. Once we have been able to let go of our body, we allow our mind to let go as well. During the meditation, we will have thoughts, feelings, memories, pleasant or unpleasant, but we should allow our thoughts and feelings to come and go without becoming drawn into them, without being drawn into our thoughts and feelings. We simply allow them to be, just like the clouds in the sky that come and then after a while they disappear. We don't need to analyze them. We don't need to study them. But we also don't need to be distracted. If we are distracted, though, we can simply come back to the present by breathing in deeply and allowing our awareness to come inside. Do not be too concerned about the center of the body just yet. First, we take some time to relax and to allow our thoughts to just be. By doing absolutely nothing, there's no need to do anything at all in any single given moment. Our thoughts come and go, and sometimes they're pleasant or unpleasant. We are aware and we allow everything to be. We do not need to struggle or search for peace and quiet. Whatever peace and quiet there is, that is quite okay. And when, during the passage of time, we are more at ease with ourselves and with everything that goes through our mind, then we are feeling quite happy. Whatever peace and quiet there is, that is a good start. We do not need to find perfection. If we accept ourselves and our thoughts and feelings, but we are not involved, then we will find we do not need to do anything at all. And any peace and quiet in our mind, any stillness will gradually expand, and it will come to us. All the peace in the world will come to us when we simply stop doing anything at all. when we have relaxed our mind, we may find that our mind has become more open and there is more empty space within. An empty space that is happy, that is comfortable. And this empty space is spacious and wide. And we might even feel as though we are sitting in a wide and empty space around us. And we can feel the space. We can feel the openness. Now we have come to the part where we learn to connect with the center of the body. The unique characteristic of this meditation. We simply breathe in again, and we notice the movement of our breath going inside through our nose, lungs, and then we can also feel the movement in our belly, in our abdomen. We can feel the movement of the breath in our abdomen. And now we are aware of this point, or you could also say this space within, the center space within. The center space within, we are aware of. We become aware of this space within, which is our center and our core, the core of our being. We are simply aware of the existence of this center space within. We do not need to do anything at all. It's simply a matter of being aware. And when we are aware of the center space will give us inner stillness, give us inner happiness. We can reconfirm the existence of the center space as often as we like, with a very soft and gentle awareness. And this very soft and gentle awareness is just like a little feather that is gravitating on the surface of some water, gravitating on the surface of the water. And the water does not even move. It's simply there with a feather on top. We feel as though our awareness is already at the center space within. Our attention is already in the same place as the center space within. And we feel happy. We gradually feel that the center space starts to take care of us. And we might feel a bit of lightness and some light energy with the meditation continuing. Now we have gradually come to the final part of the meditation. We can again breathe in to touch upon the center space. And then we breathe out from our center space within to reach everyone around us in this world. That all the happiness and stillness and relaxation, that we may share this with everyone in the world, just like a flower that shares its scent with everyone in the world, that everyone may be happy and peaceful, just like us, that everyone may be healthy and strong, and may we also be healthy and strong. May all those who have not been ill yet be healthy and strong, and all those who are already ill, may they quickly recover and find happiness within. Now we gradually become aware of our senses. We hear the sound around us. We maybe can hear the sound of our neighbors, or the sound of the cars driving outside, or the sound of the birds. We maybe can feel the seat on which we are sitting, and our hands which are resting on our lap or on our pillow. We can feel the temperature in the room, and we feel at ease and comfortable. And just before we close with the final part, the final opening of our eyes, we are aware that we can always go back to our center space, and the center space we can always rediscover, and then we can find peace and happiness within. Wherever we are, whatever we are doing. Now we've come to the end of the meditation, and I will finish with a traditional blessing in the ancient Indian language. Sappe Puttha Palapata Pache Kanam Chayang Palang Arahanta Nanchate Chenarakang Pandhami Sapaso Sapaputtha Nupavena Sapathamma Nupavena Sapasangha Nupavena Sata Soti Bhavantu Te. I was told that to guide meditation until 8:30, but in your country it's 7:30. But it seems as though everyone still wants to continue to meditate. That's good. So how has the meditation been? Anyone wants to say something? Want to share something?
I think,
Yes, please.
can you hear? Yeah,
I can.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was beautiful. Your voice was very, very calming, and I just thought it was beautiful. It was lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome. I also enjoyed it. It's nice to see all the different people with their different backgrounds, and you're all enjoying the same piece. With literally different backgrounds. Yes. And Paul, you have joined the meditation with your son, or is it your nephew?
My son Alex.
Ah, hello, Alex. How has the meditation been, Alex?
Relaxing.
Relaxing? That's good. Can you connect with the center of your body? Can you find it?
Kind of.
Kind of. That's good. Don't look for it. It will come to you. If you've kind of found it, you have already found it. It's okay. That's good. Okay. Anyone else wants to share something? If not, then I will continue with the presentation for today. It's all been quite a strange time during the last months, and some people are worried that their families has come under some stress now because we all have to live together in a more intensive way than before. At least for most of us, that is the case. But we have also been able to find patience and loving kindness because we all know that we are facing the same problems. But just to be on the safe side, I've come up with a few wisdoms coming from the ancient Buddhist text with regard to how we can live in harmony when we are living together. These principles we can use as monks as well, and but we can also use them wherever we are living, whatever we are with other people, when we are living with other people. May I share my screen, please? Can I do that? Yes? Oh, I can. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I hope I've spelled the name of Newcastle correctly.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's good.
Or should it be Newcastle with 2 words?
No.
Okay. So I was right. Good. Survived another day. Okay. Well, healthy relationships is in Buddhism, in the ancient Buddhist wisdom, there is a principle. There are 4 principles which are mentioned in the Buddhist text. These are also known as the Kalawasa Dhamma, or the principles for living together in a house, as a householder or as a person with a house. And this is to apply to yourself and to reflect. These 4 are very important in your daily life, but they are also good reflections to think about in your life now and then. We can talk about the house in different ways and talk about your family in different ways. This is just one way to talk about it. Okay, well, there's it's not, first of all, we have to start by saying that it's not easy to live together. In the Buddhist text, sometimes living together is compared with having several bracelets that are hitting each other and then damaging each other when you are walking around. The same way sometimes we live together, we sometimes have to get into conflict. Just like a tongue and the teeth are sharing the same mouth, sometimes you have to bite your tongue. It's just happening sometimes. We do not need to be concerned. Everyone sometimes has conflict. If you have a family with no conflict at all, then maybe there's a problem. Sometimes it's good to have some differences in opinion so we can learn from each other. So that's not a problem, but when we are often in conflict, then it becomes a problem. So these are 4 principles which we can use in our daily life. And these are truth, satcha in ancient Indian language, self-control and self-development, dhamma, patience, khanti, and generosity, jhaka. These are the 4 principles. And actually, these 4 can be found also in other Buddhist teachings. Truth is the most important one. And I think this is very much highly appreciated in the West. And truthfulness is basically what it means if you talk about it in terms of a character. It is the very thing that makes us live together in sincerity. It's sad that if your house is burning and you have to choose how you're going to flee from your house which is burning due to some accident or something else, then you're going to try to find all your loved ones and flee from your house to make sure everyone's safe to get out of your house when it's burning, when there's a fire. But if you have lack of sincerity in your house, then maybe sometimes it's kind of difficult to really love each other. That's why it's important to have sincerity. Sincerity is basically, I think this is a quality that many people share. It's important, and it's something that many people appreciate very much. Well, when are we not sincere then? Well, sometimes there are certain things, certain secrets that we have for one another. And it's said that everyone has some secrets. But when we live together, it's important that we know that important things we should share with each other. It's important things that we should know. And we should also, of course, on a similar note, not share a secret that somebody else has given us in good faith with other people. So there is a story in the time of the Buddha when one woman called Visakha was going to marry, and her uncle advised her a few things, and one of the important things that he advised is to be sincere and to not be concerned too much with what other people say about your family or yourself, and also not to be concerned too much with what you are talking about in your family and to start to talk about it outside your family. So that is to have some sincerity toward one another. Sometimes sincerity in Buddhism is also translated as responsibility, like responsibility in your duties and work, but also in your speech. Sometimes it's also said that responsibility or sincerity also comes down to character. So to have a sincere responsibility to try to develop yourself as a human being. So in many Buddhist teachings, this is very much emphasized, that it's important to develop your good character. This is something that we must often go back to. It's when we are growing older, sometimes we forget, like I've been ordained now for 15 years, and sometimes, you know, I try to reflect on myself. Well, do I still have people around me that can advise me? Sometimes this becomes less when we grow older, because people are generally more try to find it harder to advise somebody who's a little older or to advise somebody with more experience. So this is always important to often reflect on ourselves. And of course, when you are sincere to yourself, you will also tend to be sincere to other people, as Shakespeare once wrote, right? So if we have a sincerity to ourselves and other people, this is the first quality of satya. Now, this is something that you could compare with, if you compare it with a car, it's like the thing that drives the car. It's the thing that keeps your family, keeps your life running. The second one is a little bit less, there's not really a good word for that in English. Dhamma means self-control and self-development. It means that when we are living together, it's said that when you are living together in a family, you cannot always really change the other person. This is kind of a self-help therapy kind of cliche these days, that we cannot really change the other person. That is partly true. We cannot always change the other person the way we'd like. And that is something we need to accept. But it's also important to know that a lot of change in the world, even the people around us, the people who we marry to, the people we have a relationship with, that change will come about if we start to change ourselves first. So it's often difficult to change another person, but it's a lot more easier if we start with ourselves. To change ourselves is a lot, sometimes it seems more difficult, but actually in the long run, it's more easier than to change another person, which is a lot, you cannot really change another person. You can only point in the right direction. Perhaps you have heard that even the Buddha himself, you know, he said that he cannot really change. I mean, he's not responsible for every single action of his monks. He can only point the right direction. And then the monks that are in training under him, that is what he says, they have to, you know, they have to accept that they cannot always follow. They cannot always follow him, but he shows the way, and then that's the most important thing. But everyone eventually has to try for themselves, has to make the effort themselves. So that's quite an interesting thing to hear from a person who's known as a teacher of a world religion. So that even the Buddha said, you know, we have to help ourselves eventually. So Dhamma means self-control and self-development. It also means adjusting to the other person. So we know that sometimes some people, they are, you know, like some people that we know, they might have certain character. Like in my case, in my temple, we just changed abbot. You know, we have a new abbot now. That's normal that people go through changes, and then I also have to adjust to my new abbot and make sure that you know, we are on the same page. And that means that I have to start adjusting myself first. Because as I said, it's a lot more harder to adjust another person. Sometimes you could call this emotional intelligence. You've heard of this before? Emotional intelligence? It's kind of a thing that you often hear about sometimes in self-help books, but also in job interviews these days. It's sometimes said that emotional intelligence is more important even than intelligence, IQ, as in IQ, you know. So intelligence by which we are born with, the IQ that we are born with, or that we gain from our education or from the way we are raised by our parents, is partly part of our lives. But another very important thing is EQ, and EQ is It's basically a lot of things, but it's also about being wise about yourself and also responding wisely to others. So sometimes it's said that if a person with EQ, not IQ, but EQ, will know when not to be angry and when it's okay to be angry. Actually, in Buddhism, anger is usually not seen as a good thing, but sometimes it's not harmful that much. But it's it's mostly harmful when we are when we are angry at the same time. That's why somebody asked our abbot, and Lompata Machayo, our abbot and teacher in Thailand, for advice. What is the most wise thing to know about the marriage life? And he said, well, don't be angry at the same time. We can be angry, that's okay. We all are angry sometimes, but don't be angry at the same time. So when we are angry at this, when one person is angry, this is not the greatest harm yet. Because the other person, they could say, well, you're angry and I let you be angry, but I'm not going to respond to your anger. That's not going to work. So if you want to be angry, just be angry. And I'm just going to let you, but I'm not going to be angry in return. But if two people are angry, then maybe we throw some plates at each other. We throw some spoons at each other, and eventually we might start to throw knives at each other. So it's important that we are angry at a different time. So it's interesting that when we think about when we are still young, it was Alex, right? When we are very young, how old are you, Alex?
8.
8, so you're very, very young. If you are still a child, then you're still developing a lot. You become twice your character and intelligence and wisdom every year. I mean, you're growing a lot in both experience and in physically. But when we are older, sometimes it's harder to keep up that growth. Sometimes we tend to stagnate or be in the same place. So when we are thinking about how to fix a problem in your relationship, or sometimes simply how to live happily, then this is also one part of it. This is like it's like the brake that you need to have when you have a car and you're driving. You also need to have a little bit of a brake sometimes, but it's not like you brake like you stop the car. It's more like you kind of find the right speed. Maybe you could say that self-control and self-development is like the clutch or the gear of the car. In England, do you use mostly the automatic cars? Or is somebody still using gears these days?
Yeah, mainly manual still. We use gears.
Okay, good. In Holland, gears automatic cars were never really very popular because some companies said that they were for old people. So it never really became a thing. Anyway, that's not very important. Anyway, the third thing, the third quality that's important is patience. Now, patience is like a brake in many ways. Sometimes we need to be patient. And patience is not just waiting for the right time, but patience in this meaning, or khanti in the ancient Indian language, means maintaining a clear mind and happy mood, even in challenging circumstances. So there's two words in English language that are important: to bear and to forbear. And these two, when we keep them in mind, then these two bears will always be very good friends. And one other way to say it is that we need to persist sometimes when we are facing difficulty. And we need to resist. Sometimes some things are tempting, but we need to resist. Suppose you, with the last with the new year, maybe you made a decision not to smoke anymore, then we need to resist the temptation not to start smoking. So persisting and resisting is part of patience. But patience is not just grinding your teeth together. It's not just that. It's more like a way of thinking. So there was a monk in the time of the Buddha who was always thinking very positively. He had to go back. He was going to go back to a province which was very cruel. And then the Buddha asked him, are you ready to go back? If they start to throw spears at you, what will you do? And then he said, well, I don't worry about that, because at least they haven't killed me yet. And he was always thinking positively in that way. So if we think positively, then this is also a way that we find that we're able to jump over the obstacles sometimes if we are in the habit of thinking positively. I'm not saying that we should be naive. We may be realistic, like with current situation, we all need to be careful. Sometimes we need to wash our hands a little bit more often. We need to be more careful in many ways. But at the same time, we can also try to think of it as a challenge or as a positive situation in some ways. As in the English language, we say sometimes, we hope for the best, but we expect for the worst. Sometimes we need to have both. So, of course, the best way to learn to be patient and to have the brake in the car is to have meditation, because meditation helps us to keep a positive and clear mind, even in adversity or difficult circumstances. So I think many of you, when you have been starting to meditate now, you have experienced that it gives you more pause for thought, right? Gives you more ability to really take some time to think and also make a decision carefully, and also find more happiness even if you have difficult circumstances. Do you agree? Right?
Yep.
I hope you do. And the other way to say it is, if you, like I said before, patience will also help not to be angry at the same time. This is also what the Buddha said about that.
Sorry.
This is a good quote, actually. So when we are patient about the other person, we should also try to look at their good qualities. Now I'm going to go to the next slide. So the last one is generosity or sacrifice. This helps us to overcome selfishness and prevent it from happening. It's not always easy, because sometimes, we are all born with certain limitations of the mind. Sometimes we really like to have things, and it's difficult to put that apart, to let it go. For many of you here, you are not monks and nuns. We all have our desires. We all have the things you'd like to have, whether it's you like to have certain people around you, or you like to have certain things or possessions. But when we are learning to be generous, it can be a good quality which helps us to overcome our limitations of the mind. It's said that generosity can be of two types. The generosity, the ability to let go of a mood, of some moodiness that is not helping you, or of some mood that is not helping you, some state of mind that is not helping you. If you have some negative state of mind, or if you really want something and it isn't helping you. But it can also be generosity in the sense of giving to other people. Generosity is very important. In Holland these days, it's pretty common for people not to have any shared resources, or have little shared resources. Everyone has their own bank account. everyone has their own responsibility in finances, and that's okay if you want to. You know, we all want to have freedom, and we don't live in the same traditional society as in the past. But it's also important that we learn to share together many things. In the temple, like I live, it's sometimes important that we also learn to share. Sometimes we have been living in for a while in our room, and there's some senior monk coming, and we have to adjust, you know, allow them to sleep in our room because it's a senior monk and we need to pay respect. So this is sometimes some practice. Instead of seeing it as a difficulty, we can see it as a challenge. Because the more we learn to step aside for the other person sometimes, or let go of certain things for the other person as a sacrifice, the more we grow as well. So you could say that in a way, many sacrifices which we do for other people are actually very good for ourselves. You could say that even sacrifices can be very selfish in a good way. So this is the 4 qualities that I mentioned. These are known as the Kalavasa Dhamma. And I will just review them once more. Oops. Here they are. Truthfulness, self-control, patience, and generosity. And these 4 are very good way of looking at our family life. If we have a car, we need to have a fuel. We also need to have some way to speed our car, but also we need to have some way to brake our car. If you compare the family life with a car. But of course, our family life is a lot more complex than a car. But I'm just saying that there's different qualities of the heart and the mind that we need to have a good, to live together in harmony. I would like to finish with a quote, which is very nice, and I think it's a very nice poem. Maybe you've heard it before, but I've heard that it's an American poem, so maybe not. This is an anonymous poem. They don't know who wrote it. If you were busy being kind before you knew it, you would find you would soon forget to think it was true that someone was unkind to you. If you were busy being glad and cheering people who are sad, although your heart might ache a bit, you'd soon forget to notice it. Oh, sorry. If you were busy being good and doing just the best you could, you'd not have time to blame some man who's doing just the best he can. If you were busy being right, you'd soon find yourself too busy quite to criticize your neighbor long because he's busy being wrong. I kind of like this poem. It's kind of a reminder that in very often when we are in conflict with ourselves is because we are focused too much on our outside world, and we need to go back to what is really important, doing good for ourselves and others. So this is my presentation for today. Are there any questions about this topic? Or any topic for that matter?
Going back to the meditation. Can you hear me or not? No?
I can hear somebody, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Going
here.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Going back to meditation, I've found recently when I've been meditating at home, finding it much harder to still my mind.
Okay.
I don't know if that's just things that are happening in the world, or just I'm just not, just not connecting at the minute. I just wondered if you had any thoughts on that.
You work at home?
No, I'm just retired. Believe it or not, just retired.
Okay. You look very young.
I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you.
It is meant that way. Yeah, it's sometimes it may be that, you know, there's a lot of negative news out there, maybe affecting our mind.
I've tried to limit my news intake. Actually,
That's
I
good.
was watching a lot of news, but I've just, well, I listen maybe once in the morning and once at night now, and then either read or listen to music, or but not the news.
All right. Yeah, I agree. It's important that we need to have some diet in terms of news.
It can be quite. I think that can be quite overwhelming, actually.
Right. If you are,
volume of information.
Yes, there's a lot out there. Yes. So there's a certain fatigue, you know. After a while, you don't want to hear all the different news. I tend to focus these days on some background reporting, or some. If there's really something important announcement of the Prime Minister or something, then I sometimes listen to it. But just to the summary, I try to limit myself, not to be too focused on all the different changes. And unfortunately, also the people who die and all that. That's very sad. But I try to think of it as a positive thing, and that may be useful for you as well. Instead of engaging in the world, being worried about what's happening, or disengaging completely, we can also engage in a positive way. As I've just suggested during the meditation, we can spread our peace and happiness to the outside world, and we can send our best wishes to all those who are ill, or those who are still healthy, but we wish everyone that they may still remain healthy. In that way, we give something to the world rather than be very concerned, which is often a state of mind that is very narrow. That may be helpful. It will help you to connect meditation with what's happening outside.
Right.
And I don't think it's just a thought. I think it actually helps. And the thing is, you know, even if nobody noticed your positive thinking, the fact is that you're changing yourself, and that's going to be noticed by the people around you.
Right.
We often don't realize that a positive word or a positive action that we do can very quickly, like a domino effect. You call that in English that way?
Yeah,
Domino effect, right? Same word, right? It can very quickly expand to other people without us knowing. So it goes from our family to the people outside. Just a very important good word, you know. And we've noticed when people talk about this disease, how it spreads and how it goes from one person to person, but we forget sometimes that kindness can also be very contagious. And good deeds can also be very contagious. So if we are aware of being things that are contagious, then we should also be reminded that there are also a lot of good things that are contagious.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, I have noticed personally a lot of good things happening as well.
Yeah.
Just small things.
Yes.
Where people are connected to each other.
Yes. Like you two are joining the guided meditation together like this. This is very, very good. You know, there's you have something to share together and to do together. That's very good.
And we do meditate every day together.
Oh, that's perfect. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's because actually that has become part of our fitness regime, but it's
right.
Mental fitness.
Your mental fitness.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. You have a very good teacher. Very good teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I think that we do not need to worry that our meditation must always be perfect. Sometimes, even though I'm a meditation teacher, I also have my periods that my meditation is less deep than normal. This goes up and down. This is okay. Sometimes our meditation is not perfect, but the fact that we still close our eyes and we practice our mind, that is already very valuable.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So that's why Kunyai, the founder of our temple, the nun who founded our temple, she said that every meditation is valuable. Just like you hit the ground, you cannot miss the ground.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think we have time until we already are over time, right? Or we have
That'll be talking too much.
sorry, worry too
That'll be
much.
talking too much.
No. I was just wondering whether we have until 8:15 or until 8.
It's okay, Lumpy Sander.
Okay. Well, if anyone has any question or you'd like to share something, this is the good time. Alex, do you have to share? You want to share something? No?
Just shares all day with me, don't worry.
Okay, well, it's been very nice. And I think everyone's been very kind and nice to share this meditation together. And I also like to thank Lumpy Kom to invite me. And I hope I've not been too boring. And
Definitely not. No.
perhaps we can do it again sometimes. I do have. There's actually many English language meditations out there. And if you look around, there's also a Facebook page called Buddhist Cafe. It's a bit of a strange name, but it's nice. It suffices. Buddhist Cafe is a Facebook page that they made in Manchester. Or is that correct? Yeah, Manchester. And many English language meditations are being shared through this Facebook. So I would recommend any one of you to also share these meditations. I mean that when you have a meditation on the Wednesday, you can share it and let everyone know. And also you can see many other meditations on that platform. So there is no guided meditation in Manchester right now, but Manchester uses this Facebook to share and let everyone else know what's going on in the rest of the world, which is very nice. So I think that's a good initiative, and I like to encourage that. So I'd like to thank you for now. And if the personnel needs to make any announcements, do they? Would you like to make any announcements? No? Okay, well, then I thank you for your attention, and I will be leaving.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
May I invite everyone to pay respect to our teaching monks, today's Monk Sander and Monk Combs, by bowing 3 times. Bows, bows, bows. Yeah. I
Very
hope
fun.
everyone enjoys this week's programs, and if you would like to see Monks Center again, or you want to hear something like this topic, you can feedback us by the form online that we have shared that to you, or you can email, or yes, there are many channels that we can contact. Okay, and hope you enjoy it.
Yes.
Sander, I enjoy very much this week.
Okay, thank you. Keep up the good
Thank
work.
you.